I am pleased to turn the meeting over and introduce our group's founder and leader, Frank Kovacs.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining the Breakfast Club this morning. The Breakfast Club was formed after 9/11, and we founded it to help those people that had lost their jobs due to the 9/11 tragedy. Over the years, over 20 years, we have been challenged with many things, the economic and financial circumstances that arose in the country, and in addition to that, most recently the pandemic. And through that, we found the need for our group and the support that we provide, something very critical to many people out there to help them get connected and to get their next opportunity. So the Breakfast Club, one of the things we did early on is we strongly embraced social media. One of our key areas was Yahoo groups. We used that as our principal communication vehicle. However, late in 2020, Yahoo groups made a strategic decision to no longer continue. So we've switched over to groups.io. So Brian Mecca and Haresh Kaswani had worked together to put out invites to all of our users to migrate over to Groups.io. If you haven't moved over to Groups.io, please reach out to Brian Mecca or Haresh Kaswani, and the two of them would be, very eager to help you guys get connected. By getting on to the Groups.io, what it does for you is it allows you to email the entire group. We do ask that the emails be limited to job search or career management types of posts. We also encourage and highly recommend that those people that are new to search, whether they're longtime members of the Breakfast Club or somebody new to the group, put their elevator pitch into an email and send it out to the group to introduce yourself to everybody and to, give a high-level overview of your background and your value proposition and what companies that you're targeting, because it helps greatly then to engage with our members. And that email goes out not only to the people that are currently in transition, but also those who are alumni, people that have already landed. And we have over 800 people in the Breakfast Club that are sitting C-level executives. So when you post out there what your background is and all, these are people that were here as members in transition. And if they can help you and have an opportunity consistent with your need, they'll reach out to you and see if there is a match there in order for you to become engaged with their firm. Also, one thing that's really critical is once you land, if you could put out a message to all the members and explain for you what you learned, what may have been, that one approach that made the difference from you in engaging with a new employer. And, that is helpful on a number of levels. Number one, it gives hope to those that are still in transition, that there is success and light at the end of the tunnel. And the other thing is that item that, was the aha moment for you in search, maybe something that's missing in their search. So, you help them out. Along the way, also, if you come across opportunities and can help others, simply take those opportunities and post it out to the whole group. And to do these messages, all you have to do is take the email and address it to the Breakfast Club NJ@groups.io, and that's how we email the entire group. On social media, we have a number of other vehicles as well. We have a Facebook group that Adrian Roman moderates for us. Again, everything is consistently branded the Breakfast Club NJ. We also have a hidden LinkedIn group, And that LinkedIn group is very critical for everybody to connect to. It's a hidden group, so once you apply to join the groups.io, Haresh Kaswani, who is the moderator, will send you out an invite to join the LinkedIn group. Once you're into the group, you'll see everybody else that's on the Breakfast Club that's in the LinkedIn group, and then you still have to connect with them individually, but it's a great way to quickly grow your network substantially in, this highly compressed geography of New Jersey, New York, Philly market. And then, by having those connections, what we've always tried to do is have a large representation so that as you're looking for a job and targeting companies, it's easy to find either somebody that works there now, used to work there, or knows somebody to work there. Because the biggest way that people get jobs is through having a referral into the hiring manager. And that's why we use social media in these ways to provide that advantage to our members. Other than that, we're here. We're all volunteers. So, just work with us and we'll do our best to help you all out. But, understand that people are going above and beyond, past their daily jobs just to be here and help you. And we have a great group of alumni that regularly support everybody. So, it's something that we really have to recognize them for and, the efforts that they do to continue helping. And that's what a true networking group is really about, is having the people come back after they land and really, work with us. And, that's why Jerry Payton and David Shuckman, who run our presentation committee, that's why they try and get us presenters and that are focused on not only the job search aspects, but also the career management and a nice balance so that we keep our alumni engaged. So with that, I'm going to turn the meeting over back to Jerry Payton. Jerry's going to introduce our speaker and our presenter for today, and I hope you enjoy the program.
Thank you, Frank. Good morning, everyone. We have a great presentation for you today and a great presenter in a very important topic who I'll introduce right now. Ken Lang is the founder of KML Consultants, which offers individual LinkedIn and networking training. He's a career coach and facilitator for the New Start Career Network at Rutgers University, which helps 45 and older workers, job seekers, develop their LinkedIn presence. As a top LinkedIn voice, he's a main LinkedIn resource for job search and networking for 45 and older workers. Most recently, he was a panel moderator at a full-day LinkedIn Jobathon event discussing mature job workers in this current economy. I'd like to introduce Ken Lang. Ken?
Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate you all coming here today. What I'm looking to do today, for the most part, is I'm looking to go through LinkedIn, not just as you know it now, but also with something called Clubhouse. And I'll explain what that is in a little while. So I'm going to make sure everyone can see my screen. Can you?
We see your PowerPoint, and it just
Cool.
started. We see your slides.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
We see it. It's all good.
Okay, so I'll go into a little more detail later on about what the differences are. And if we have some fortune, we're actually going to be able to see exactly how it works in real time. So I broke up the presentation into 3 parts. Thank you very much, Jerry, for that warm introduction. One of the things that I wanted to add to this is I've been testing the functionality that you can combine LinkedIn and Clubhouse events together. What we've actually done is, I'm sure most of you are aware of what a LinkedIn Live is. It's when you can actually stream an event on LinkedIn with certain functionality. We actually did an event on Clubhouse that went on LinkedIn Live at the same time. And the application for that is really great because if it works for there, I know George does a Facebook group, so the opportunity would be there to do the same type of thing there. So it's in a testing now, but it's something very much of interest. So one thing to think about is even if you don't have Clubhouse yet, and you may or may not ever be interested, there are ways to still leverage it. So As a bit of a reminder, this is going to be the first part of the presentation, just talking about networking in general. This is just a common thing to think about. Networking toolkit means not just doing a job search. It means using LinkedIn, attending events like this, researching companies, follow up, and also having a team. I think it's extremely important when you think about this is that different people may have different needs specifically within this, but think about it's not just a one-size-fits-all thing. So this is the presentation breakdown, and thank you very much, David, for alluding to it. The first part is going to be a general LinkedIn review of some of the things that I'm hoping most of you are familiar with. The second part of the presentation is going to be talking a little bit about Clubhouse. I added some screenshots, so it's not just a very abstract mechanism. And then the third part is putting it all together. So I'll have breaks along the way for you to ask certain questions. If we have time afterward, I may go out to LinkedIn and maybe be able to show you some specific examples too, because I think one of my presentation strengths now is that it's not just about the slides, it's about let's go out to the platform and actually show in real time how it works. So I made some changes to the basics of LinkedIn, which I'm sure most of you are aware of. The picture, besides the fact that you want it to look good, make sure it looks good on mobile, because not every picture looks the same. And you also want to make sure you have sufficient background lighting. I've seen so many pictures on LinkedIn of people that the lighting is not that great. And you want to make sure that it's very viewable, because in some cases it puts you in a worse light if the picture really isn't that good. Keyword, in terms of a headline, it's keyword driven. So many people just use their previous or their current job for that headline. You should be editing it. It can be specific in terms of how it's searched, but it's also important to make sure that when you have a headline, only the first line of that headline is going to show up within the mechanism of a search. So if someone's doing a search for project managers or whatever the job is, and all the people come up, that only that first headline or first line is going to show up. The About section, which I'm going to go into a little more detail in terms of a breakdown, it needs to be easy to read, it needs to be compelling and searchable. It's a lot easier to do than you think. One of the more recent changes with LinkedIn with jobs is they've minimized the requirement for having a current job. It used to be within the algorithm, if you did not have a current job at present or something like that, you would be dinged in the searching. That's not the case anymore. They've started to roll that out, so you do want to account for time if you've been out for the last few months or so, but it isn't a requirement to have a job. A lot of people I know do use that for different ways, but this is now unofficially not as needed anymore. And the skills, you need to have at least 3, but there's probably going to be the time when you're going to be able to add many, many more. So now we talk about the nice to haves. A background image to further market yourself. There's so many great tools out for that. Using the featured section, and these things here, by the way, are not going to be important to be searched from a recruiter standpoint, but it's also important to put yourself out there to market yourself, because think about LinkedIn and any social media. It's not just I'm looking for a job. It's the fact that I want to market myself. I want to present myself in the best light. And one thing that very few people actually do is within your jobs, they very rarely add documents or attachments. I would say this is probably the only area where I might consider attaching a resume underneath the job. Again, it's just additional information. Some people actually put down documentation of things they've done. It's not going to affect you in terms of a percentage of the profile, but again, it's just another bit of information. And we always talk about recommendations. It's not enough just to have recommendations, but you want to have a recent one. Now, it's not because of anything with the algorithm, but when I look at someone's profile and their last recommendation was 4 or 5 years ago, that doesn't tell me a lot about them now. So I think it's extremely important to have a recent recommendation. and write recommendations for others. The only caveat is try not to do them too quickly. If someone writes a recommendation for you, don't send back a recommendation back to them in the next day or so, because again, it just doesn't look good. But it's also a quality versus quantity thing. There are people on this platform that have hundreds of recommendations, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you want to make sure that the recommendations you have most recently are the ones that are the most relevant to you. So this is exactly who I am. Picture has to change, I know. Totally know that on my to-do list. But the back, it says, I'm a rock star. Now, what a rock star means is open to interpretation. But I have on here, I'm a Forbes contributor, I'm a LinkedIn voice. Follow me to learn about LinkedIn changes. I am an introvert, totally am. This is my Clubhouse handle. And these are all searchable terms here. Now, when you do something like this, you can move these around all the time. And every week I do change these up a little bit. And I've been finding when I do get searched, I get searched for all different things. So again, there's no question who I am here. Other people use like Canva art. Other people use the background to put a link to their website or something else they've done. Now, there's two parts of the About section that I would break out. One, the first 3 lines have to be they really need to be getting their attention. Because when someone pulls up your profile, they're only going to see the first 3 lines of the About section unless they select See More. So many people make their first About section resume-ish. That's okay for later on in there, but you have to grab their attention. The searching of the About section will be there. It's going to be getting their attention later on. So this just tells me a little bit, this tells a little bit about myself. If you're looking for a job within an industry, you want to talk about what you can do in a very general way in terms of helping someone else out. And I'll go into a little more details to what that means later. But think about it this way. All the people out there doing the same thing as you, how are you going to separate yourself? This is the area that I allude to when it's searchable. These are all searchable terms here. All searchable terms. Whoops. All searchable terms. I break it out here, make it easy to read. I have my email address. I have a link to my calendar here, and I have all these things. There's nothing more here than just the information. I don't expect people to read any of this, but I expect them to be able to search for it. And I think that's one of the misnomers. Most people are not going to read your About section in great detail. They will do searches for certain things. So you want to make sure you get their attention. Think about it from a resume perspective. A recruiter may spend 5 to 6 seconds on a resume. They're not going to spend tons of time looking here either, but you never know. You definitely want to make sure you have an email address. You definitely want to make sure you have all your specialties here, and you want to make sure they look good. So what you can do now, and most people do it, you can actually boldface parts of your profile, or you can put other things in there. And when you do a boldface or caps or something, it just gives it more emphasis. It makes it cleaner. And a lot of people don't realize that just because you have the ability on LinkedIn to put the text, that you can change the fonts. So the way you would do something like that is go to a site like this. And what you would do is on this side here, you would type a word, and the other side will come back in all different fonts. And then you would do a cut and paste of the word and overlay it on your profile. And there's a lot of things like this too. I actually put the link to this one here. The idea is this. You look at LinkedIn as a starting point. It doesn't mean you can't tweak it. People have put emojis in there. People have put other things. It's about setting yourself apart. And I think that's a great thing to do. Try it out. Under skills and recommendations, and this is a little bit of a review, the top 3 skills that are here are the ones that you want people to see. Again, the show more will show all the other skills that you have, and they are searchable, but I want someone to look at my top 3 skills, whatever they are, and be interested to find out more. If you select the pencil here, you can drag and drop and move skills around. LinkedIn by default uses the top area here, the skills that you have the most amount of recommendations for. but you can move them around after that. It's not as important now as it used to be even to have hundreds or 30 or 40 skills. It's just about it being on your platform. So these are some changes to think about with LinkedIn 21, and these are based on my experience talking to job seekers, just kind of brainstorming. The About section has to be written to reflect how your past experience will support your future employer. It isn't enough to talk about the things that make you great, the things that you are good at. It's okay, how's that going to help me? It's the old what's in it for me thing. Same with the title and the heading. This one here I absolutely love. Everyone knows what assume happens when you assume. If you're looking for work, let people know that. I'm not saying put open to work or open to new opportunities in the title, but so many people don't even put those words in. Put it in your most recent job, because that's a searchable term. It's searchable. When someone does a search for open to new opportunities as a recruiter, that will come up. So don't leave those words out. And the idea of learning how to engage, this is similar to saying do a post, but it's more important to understand why you need to do it. This last thing I just added a little while ago, try video. Video, it's not about stories, it's about just do a little video of yourself, do a little video practice, do it as an elevator pitch, and put it on your profile. Again, it's just from a perception standpoint, it's good practice. No one's going to critique you, and you're going to have to use that skill anyway if you do video interviewing. So now I've changed my tack to personalize usually. I used to say personalize always. And I'll show you why in a second why I feel that way. As a reminder, if you select add a note, you personalize the reason to connect. Never be salesy. And that's the thing that I'm going to allude to in a second. Okay. These are some examples of good connections. You mentioned the frame of reference where you met someone, you make a comment, you were recommended to connect. There's all different things about this. What I love about this one here is that the person puts in their connection request their email address, which is another thing to do. People, you can put your phone number in there. I mean, don't be limited by just by text when you do things like that. So these are some bad ones. And these are actually true requests that I got. The first one, there's no mention of my name, and it was just sent out to many, many, many people. Hi, blah, 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 blah. This one, hey, Kenneth, you around? Really, really professional. And the last one is happening a lot. Hi, they fill in the name. My name is the person. I noticed you're A, and this is the job title. At the company, the job title, and then comes the pitch. I have gotten, and I'm sure a lot of you have gotten so many of these as well. And these are even worse. Quick question, are you able to take on more coaching clients? Or this one here, how is your business? The pitch to do loans and all that stuff. So there are things you can do. These are the things you can do. On your profile, you have the ability to, when you select the more, you can unfollow someone, you can remove them as a connection, or you can block them. I, for the most part, choose to unfollow people. The other person won't know that. That's because of how I'm set up. You can remove them as a connection. Reporting and blocking is something that I know a lot of people actually recommend doing that. It has to be really, really bad to do that. What happens is if you report and block them, LinkedIn will ask you why. You'll give them a reason. And if the person on the other end gets too many of these report and blocks, then their account might be taken away. Okay, so right now my screen is frozen. Frozen screen. What do you think we can do?
The three-finger salute?
Well, if need be, I'll just do this off the top of my head. I'm going to escape out of here. There we go.
Yeah, you might just restart from that slide.
I am. Yep. There you go. Technical difficulties solved. Okay. So these are the things that are good. The launch of even more newsletters, the elevator pitch, which I'll show you how to do, the types of updates. But the last two are even better, the ability to live stream events on a personal or a company page, and the Clubhouse integration. Okay, once again. Okay. All right, recent changes. And these are bad ones. You're unable to see the 90-day view of your profile without premium, and the same with interview videos. There's also an overreaching attempt to combat automation. People are being sent into LinkedIn jail for no reason. SWAM, which stands for Site-Wide Auto Moderation, are alive and well. And that's probably the biggest issue now. Pretty much, LinkedIn will flag you for things that you really don't know why. It could be you're sending out too many connection requests. It could be the fact that your content is just kind of flagged in a negative way. To market yourself with that elevator pitch, and you can only do that on mobile, you would select the microphone there. On your name pronunciation, you'd be able to do the recording, and then you can also re-record it or change it, and then it will show up there. So those are the basic things, and I wanted to end the part with something which was a little bit fun, phrases to avoid. I've had fun with this a lot. I did this last year. These are phrases which I'm getting absolutely tired of, and I'm sure there's tons of others. Genuine, authentic, problem solver, extraordinary, virtual, whatever, Zoom fatigue, ninja, unprecedented, unmatched, customer journey, thought leadership, brainstorm, muscle memory, and expert. And a post like this, to be honest, I actually did this once before, will get you so much engagement because it'll get people thinking. So the last slide of here is where you're going to find some of the different networking opportunities. These are all clickable links. So when I share the presentation, you'll be able to see it. So at this point, I wanted to take some questions, if there were any, David.
Okay. So first, George Pace. George, you typed in a long comment as a question. I didn't see a question mark.
Yeah, I added it later, David, and we can do this.
I do, but there's no question mark. So it seems like you're making a statement, or you want to contribute.
No, what I did was I did it as a part 2. If you look down at 823, that's where the actual email came from. And then a little further down, I did Twitter. Ken, basically the short of it was I received something. We could do this later, but something from Lunch Club, which is supposed to be an alternative that's backed by Andreessen, and then Twitter's offering their own Clubhouse alternative as well. So when you get to that point, it's just, have you seen those? Is basically just the question.
Okay. Yes to both. And I will mention it later on for sure, because that's okay. One of the big discussions going on. Yes.
Okay, and there's a question from Kevin. This is very generic, and maybe it'll be in your next section. How is Clubhouse going?
In the next section.
Okay, very good.
I mean, the upshot of it is this: if you think about being on a podcast or being on a WebEx, it's the same type of thing, except you have the ability to go to different places, see different things. Very hard to explain without going through, at the very least, screenshots, which I did on the next part, because seeing it will definitely help understanding how it works.
Okay, and let's see. Bill has a question. Will the deck slides be available to download or view? And I believe, yes, we will do that. Adrian, if you don't mind, maybe just unmute, let us know how you make those slides available. Adrian was on.
Hi, I usually put the slides on the speaker page on the website. Slides and the catalog go there. sent the slides, I will post them, but most of the time I don't get sent them, so.
Yeah, so
Ken
the
will have to
speakers,
determine.
yeah, the speakers page, folks, is you go to the website, thebreakfastclubnj.com, thebreakfastclubnj.com. There's a menu along the top. The second item is called About Us. It's a drop-down menu. One of the items is speakers, and that's where Adrian will post the link for any documents that were provided. So terrific, thank you. Mary has a question. How does one know when to update the LinkedIn profile? Mine is from last year.
Well, you want to update it all the time to different parts. I mean, think about it this way. If you have a resume and you've got multiple resumes and you want to update those to send them out to different places, at the very least, you want to update it. I mean, I would, as a rule of thumb, update at least once a week in terms of, and updating doesn't necessarily mean changing the wording. It can be doing having a conversation, it can be reconnecting. You know, as a matter of, I like to suggest people go on LinkedIn 3 times a day, maybe a few minutes in the morning, sometime in the evening, and sometimes at night. How long you are on there depends on what you're looking to do. Ever since we've been, home, a lot of people are spending up to half an hour at a time on LinkedIn. Probably not a bad idea, but you want to first know how to use the platform before you start doing it. So I think starting with an About section is important, and making sure you have the skills. I think those are the 2 main things to focus on, in addition to a title and a picture.
Okay, and there's a little bit of background noise. I'm juggling a lot of things. This is from James. Is there an Android alternative to Clubhouse?
Not yet, but what I would be aware of is there are Clubhouse apps on Android which are all fake. They just hired 2 Android developers, Clubhouse, so they're looking to roll it out really soon. There's a lot of people I know that want to be on Clubhouse, and it's really frustrating because we do want to talk about it. The advantage you all have is that if you have an iPad, you can still join Clubhouse if you have an Android. You just need to have some mechanism within the Apple ecosystem.
Okay, and just as a reminder, everyone, when you have a question, please preface it or precede it with the word question. A couple people are posting questions. It just helps me make sure I don't miss your question. That's why we ask that, because a lot of people are asking and providing a lot of good information. So just please do that, or you can just write the word question and we'll unmute you at that time and you can speak to Ken directly. And I see there's one from Candace. What are some tips you can give for job searching while employed on LinkedIn? I don't want to jeopardize my job.
Well, one of the best ways to do it is to start writing out some content. If you know what type of job you're looking for, maybe content related to that, commenting on other people's content. The one challenge you're going to have is to be looking for a job while you have that profile. So you don't want to be, you don't want to make it too known. You don't want to say you're open to job opportunities, but the main thing you want to think about is how are other ways I can get my point across? And that's why I would say, look at content, connect with people that you want to know, whether it's someone like myself. And it's also going to depend on really if you're going from one industry to the other. If you're staying in the same industry, you're still going to be able to share a lot of relevant content. But if you're looking to go do a pivot for some reason, again, put something out there, get yourself noticed in that way. That was the case before the pandemic. A lot of people were passively looking, and I've given the same advice. Your About section, make that interesting to the next person. Again, there's ways to write it. You have skills, so then there are nuances to it. But you any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out to me after, because I'd be happy to get into more specifics then.
Okay, and I think this question came in before you answered the prior question from Adrian. Is Clubhouse Apple specific, or is it available on an Android? Just want to make sure we covered that.
Apple specific for now.
Yeah.
Believe me, I wish it wasn't, because there's so many people I'd love to see on the platform, but you will get your turn for sure.
Okay, and let's see. Pranav has a question. What if someone is applying for more than one role, example, a PM and an IT engineer? How do I update my LinkedIn profile?
Well, you can put both of those keywords in the title section, for sure. You can mention your about section, the skills in both or the skills that cross both. Look at it from the, most recruiters, when they do searches, they do something called a Boolean search. So they're going to do multiple searches for keywords. There's nothing wrong with putting multiple things in there and then bringing it together in the about section, other places with what are the things between those two jobs that you can, leverage into one specific goal.
Okay. And Joe has a question. Is there a way to have the text from LinkedIn mail to be sent to Gmail account?
Good question. I'd have to check. I don't know offhand, but that's a very good question. I'm sure the answer is yes. I don't want to say yes for sure.
And Ken, I'm sure the answer to that is it's on the paid account.
Or the other thing is do a search. A lot of times I say do a search on Google for the question, and it may show up there. The answer.
Okay. Alex Freund, if you don't mind unmuting, Alex has a comment to add. Career coach Alex Freund.
Yeah, I have actually 2 or 3 little comments, very quick. One, I really feel you have to have many connections. Why? Because if you don't have a lot of connection, basically you're a fish in a small pond. Remember, LinkedIn is a database. If you have many connections, you're swimming in the ocean. Next, you must have the right keywords. This is where you should spend your time. Remember, recruiters are searching not because you have pretty eyes. Recruiters are searching based on keywords that they are interested in. So if you don't have the right keywords, that's not good. Not only that, but you need to measure whether the effectiveness of your keywords. And I want to tell you, for the last several months, I have a spreadsheet here that periodically I have 9 keywords that I'm playing with. And I'm going in there and I'm making changes. I want to make sure that those keywords are found. And last thing is, you have to have an element of branding on your LinkedIn profile. As Ken said earlier, people are going to read it. And if they don't like what you say, or if you are not different than everybody else, they're just going to move on. End of my comments.
Thank you, Alex. Joseph has a question. Any tips to reduce the number of spammy contact requests and sales pitches that come through LinkedIn? For every useful contact, I get a dozen outsourced software development offers.
That's the number one thing all of us are asking LinkedIn. And what they're doing now is like overkill. They're trying to flag anything and everything. One of the things that we have proposed to LinkedIn is to have a spam message box or a spam connection box set up that would flag these connection requests to go right to there so you wouldn't see them. And that is something that LinkedIn is thinking about very seriously. So when you get messages and when you get these connection requests, you won't see them unless you want to. So that's very much top of mind.
Ken, the one thing I would, if you have an into LinkedIn, one of the things I would add specific to that is if you're going to quote unquote report that as spam, I would almost consider it in two categories. I think there's this general spam, and then there are those people that are quote unquote salespeople looking for leads that are using it to make connections to sell you something. And if there was a way that you could attach what type of spam it is, so that we can stop the people who are like, hey, I want to connect with you because I really want to sell you something nonsense. That's different than some of these other things that are just this generic nonsense that's out there.
So George, why don't you join the group? Because we have LinkedIn product owners on Clubhouse all the time. You should join the group and actually mention that to them.
Yeah, then send it to me because I got a couple ideas on that because some of it, these people just have to be taught. It's poor behavior.
There are LinkedIn product owners on all these groups, and whether they actually do
it, that's a different, right? That's always a given, right? Oh yeah, just send me the link on that one on Clubhouse, then Ken. I'll gladly join it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, folks. Sam has a question. What is the process to get added to the hidden LinkedIn group?
Which hidden LinkedIn group are we talking about?
Simply the Breakfast Club NJ, if that's what you're referring to, is to contact Haresh Kaswani, who's the moderator, and he'll send you an invite. What happens is people join our email group, which is the Breakfast Club NJ at groups.io. A few days later, he automatically sends out an invite to the LinkedIn group. But if you haven't got one, just reach out to Haresh.
Terrific. Thank you, Frank. And Valerie has a question. Can you go over the recording steps again?
Recording steps for what? Recording a message? You mean like the 10-second elevator pitch thing? Was that it, Valerie?
Hey, Valerie, if you unmute, you can clarify that. Valerie, you can unmute, you can clarify your question.
Or she can ask me later on. I mean,
Yeah, come
Guys,
back to it later.
I suspect she's talking about the pronunciation of your name. This is where you can record.
I mean, that you would edit that from your mobile. There's a pencil there, and underneath there's an ability that says record your voice. And then where you can re-record it if you don't like it. And then after that, it will show up as that recording, and then you can listen to it on your desktop.
Yeah, Valerie's her mic seems to be not working. So she says yes. That the thing you're answering is the question she's asking.
Okay, good.
Yep, there's Valerie. No, we don't hear Valerie just now. Dawn asked the question, can Haresh provide his contact info for us to the group? Haresh, if you're in the group, please do that. If not, I'll type that in the chat. We'll put that in the chat in just a few minutes. Okay, let's move on, Ken.
Okay, so now on to Clubhouse. Clubhouse is invite only. It's voice activated. It's something you would sign up for it, and you can sign up for it, by the way, whether or not you're on an iPhone. You can be, and then once you're available, once it's eligible, we'll get notified. The other way, which I'm going to show you later on, is how we send out the invites. But the premise of this, and I'll go through this on slides, which will make a little more sense, is users enter different rooms to listen or participate in conversations. You're able to see the room participants. The person who creates the room is the room moderator. So, back out. So this is the way Clubhouse looks. Oops, I'm sorry, guys. This is the way Clubhouse works. So when you go over here, what's going on, guys?
Because you didn't do it from current slide, Ken. You did it from the beginning.
I know. I'm there. Cool. Yay. So the way it works is this. I would send someone a text that I have an invite for them. I'd have to have their contact information. And then after I have the contact information, I'd then download the app and it would show up on my phone. When I'm on Clubhouse, I would create a profile. The profile is going to be my picture. It's going to mention whatever I choose to mention here. It's going to be what would be considered sort of an about section. Clubhouse loves emojis and things. And then part of this, and then here, you can do searches on here for people in your contact list to invite. The way the Clubhouse works now is the one that has the most friends is at the top. So if I do a search for someone, again, it can be someone, and you have to know if the person has an iPhone. Like I could send an invite to Alex, but if he doesn't have an iPhone, it won't do any good, and I will have used up my invite. Clubhouse also has an activity feed. This is very similar to what you would think about from your notifications. Again, every time a group comes up. At right is the basic way a Clubhouse homepage would look. The top part here are recommended people to follow and recommended groups. The goal is this: when you first get on Clubhouse, the first thing that will happen is it will send you suggested people to connect with, and it'll be based on basically who they think you want to know, but then you would start searching for people to follow. When I talk about a Clubhouse room, at the top here, first of all, this is my picture here. This is searchable. This would be letting me know what events I have coming up as this. So there's a group here. It's called Breakfast with Champions Millionaire. These are all the people that are listed in the group here. There's for that room. There's 202 people right now in that room. And this thing here next to it says that 43 of those people are actually speaking. So let's say I want to go into a room. The room then shows up like this. All the people are in the room, just their faces. You don't know who they are unless you select their profile underneath them, but you're not going to see them. You're just going to see their picture. If you want to raise your hand, this top part here is called the stage. Everyone in the audience is down here. So if you want to go on the stage, you select this to raise your hand, and then you join the people up here. So what happens after that is if I select a person from here, I'll get to that profile, which I just showed you before. It has a link to their LinkedIn profile, their Twitter, and their Instagram. When you have the microphone here with this line through it, it means that you've been muted and you can't speak, pretty similar to what you have going on right here on this meeting. And the brown circle means that that person is actually the one speaking. So let's say I'm in a room like this and I want people to come into the room. If I select the plus down here, then I could then invite someone in, and then they get notified up here. What I've been doing a lot of is creating a LinkedIn event on Clubhouse. And the reason I do that is not just because I want people to come to Clubhouse. It's an opportunity for people who say that they're going to attend the event. You can still connect here, because not everyone who says they're coming is actually on Clubhouse. It's just another way to network. So the reasons, again, from a perspective, you can go down a whole rabbit hole and spend hours on Clubhouse, and I don't recommend anyone do that. There are starting to become courses out there that you can learn about this. You should access specific topics and speakers, build relationships, but knowing how to use it is going to be a really important skill, whether it's this or something else. And the main thing I found now is there are rooms and clubs where recruiters and job seekers make real connections and actually have been hired on the spot this way, because they've actually had an opportunity to go offline in a closed room and just almost interview on the spot. So I think it's extremely important to know how it works. So this is just some jargon, just to have some fun with it. We say CH for Clubhouse all the time. We say mods for moderators. When you join Clubhouse, you have a party hat. Room moderators do have their own room rules, but there's basic guidelines. You know, in some rooms we have hundreds of people. You're really limited to how long you can speak. We talk about RTR and PTR, which is resetting the room, because if you join a room and you don't reset the room, which means people join all the time, some people are going to come into the room and not know what you're talking about. So you want to remind people that are new what the room is about. And PTR stands for pull to refresh, because if you don't do that, you're not going to find people that have just joined the room. Now, this is a link down here to Clubhouse best practices. I'm not going to share that now, but when you get the presentation, you'll be able to see it. And then these are just some best practices. Anyone can ask a question by coming to the stage. The green circle shows the room moderators. There's a green circle on the bottom there. And if you select the hand on, you'll be brought to the stage. Not every room does have that ability, because some rooms, again, there's thousands of people there. I've been on rooms there, where we've had celebrities, but again, that's not my reason for being there. But again, different people have different ideas. If you moderate a room, you can invite others to the stage. Now, the reason I would combine both is the same reasons you're on LinkedIn. You want to connect with people, you want to comment on posts. If you mention on a LinkedIn post that you're on Clubhouse, a lot of people are doing that now. You can also schedule follow-up meetings. You know, you're on Clubhouse, and you can actually say to a person, let's have a conversation on LinkedIn or connect with me, and asking for advice. So what I'm hoping to do now, first of all, the top here is a great article about this. The other part here, this is a YouTube video, which was Good Morning America, which was Michael Strahan. They did a whole segment on what Clubhouse was. Before I click on this, what this is here, just for as a caveat, I'm sure most of you know what LinkedIn Live is. We did a test to be on LinkedIn Live, but also on Clubhouse at the same time. So all of us on Clubhouse, we are on our phones, but we wanted to do this on LinkedIn Live. So it's going to be a little bit uneven, but you'll get a sense of how it actually works. So I don't know how many people, David, are actually on Clubhouse. I don't know if there's any way to find out here now.
Yeah, what we can do, if you want to just take a 1 minute break, let's ask everyone who's on, if you're on Clubhouse, just write, I'm on Clubhouse in chat. Like a brief
and also
survey.
put down your put down your Clubhouse handle, which is the @ or whatever you are.
There you go. So folks, chat is in the upper right corner for most of your screens, that little circular cartoon call out. And you just put your Clubhouse handle or that you're on Clubhouse. Let's see. So we've got 2 so far, 3. Wait another moment or so. So folks, anyone on Clubhouse?
And you know, Ken, one comment I would make for those leveraging Clubhouse, you know, at the end of the day, remember, this just becomes another channel. So you still need to have your, you know, your marketing pitch, your persona, your value proposition defined. Just going on these and, you know, kind of doing them just, you know, on a spur of the moment thing probably isn't your best, you know, approach. You really want to use these to stay consistent with whatever the message that you're trying to get across is. So much like in the days when we had radio and television and newsprint, those were distribution mediums of news. You want to treat these tools in that same vein. These are kind of distribution tools in a sense. It gets back to what is your core message that you know you want to adhere to when you use these platforms.
Well, what I'm going to say also is on the next slide, I list some of the people that I know are on Clubhouse that are in our networking groups as well as a couple of events. So what I want to try to do now is do this link. And if it doesn't work, then that's probably even better. All right, let's.
I counted 8 so far.
Never mind. All right, guys.
Okay, hold on. Are we actually live on LinkedIn yet?
Yeah, I'm just joining the room. We're 8 seconds in. It'll.
Oh, here he is.
Yeah.
So if you look at the bottom, you'll see that there's text at the time.
We hear it.
Going now. Oh, Joe's there. This is so interesting. All right. How do I do this? Oh, we're live. All right, we got 9 on LinkedIn. Hello, LinkedIn.
Recording. So make sure that you're very comfortable saying what you're saying, and because it's so exactly how we're going to use that concept.
What Andy's doing is Andy's on Clubhouse, but we speak on LinkedIn Live.
Just the lead mod. So good morning, everyone. Hello, Leah. How are you?
I'm okay. I don't know if this is working. Right, okay, hi. So I'm unmuted on Clubhouse, but can people on LinkedIn hear me?
That's what I'm trying to ask. Audio on LinkedIn. Kit, thank you. Kenneth, thank you. Okay, so they can hear. So your guys' audio.
Okay, good. This is very confusing because I can't hear Rich because Rich hasn't unmiked. Rich is through my. So Rich is speaking and I can't hear Rich through Clubhouse because he's not unmiked on Clubhouse, but he's speaking on LinkedIn Live.
Okay, Luke is telling us it's cutting in and out.
LinkedIn user is saying there's a ton of feedback though, and Luke is saying it's cutting in and out, Rich.
I see.
Other LinkedIn users saying we can't hear you, Leah.
So what I'm going to do now is, any questions?
Yes, so one question from Valerie was wondering, are Clubhouse events recorded?
No, well, the only way they can be recorded is if you have the word recorded on the top of the Clubhouse event. Otherwise, no, like this is not being recorded. We put recorded on it, but it's not always recorded unless you specifically say that.
And so what we were watching was a pre-recorded session.
Exactly.
Okay. So folks, if you have a question, this is a good time in chat. Type the word question and we'll unmute you, or you could type the word question and type your question and we will read it aloud. Okay, so Candace does have a question. How does being on Clubhouse help your job search compared to LinkedIn?
Well, it helps your job search in the sense that you can do a search on Clubhouse for recruiters, for job search, for networking, and all the clubs and rooms that meet that criteria will show up. You know, the first place is to just get the lay of the land.
And Pranav is asking, how can I join it from iPhone? Do we have a link for the WhatsApp?
I have 6. I mean, I'm going to put mentions at the end. I have 6 invites, and other people do too. So if someone has invites and they want to put them in the chat, that would be great.
So in Clubhouse, you need to be invited by another member.
Or you can put yourself on the list and wait till you get on the invite list.
Ken, one of the other things to get back to that question on the where was it? You know, how do you use this for job search? You know, one of the other things to realize is that there's a certain amount of currency, and when I say currency, I don't mean cash. I mean currency as to how current you are with various technologies. And one of the things in a post-COVID world is going to be, how do you embrace these types of video platforms? So being able to tell employers during an interview that you've been skilling yourselves on these communication platforms becomes a differentiator for you. So when you start saying, hey, I've really learned how to use Clubhouse to accomplish these types of things, grow my network, get new answers, get new insights, learn something new, you've suddenly brought a new dimension to that interview that your competition most likely isn't bringing. And you're also showing that you're not in the past, but you're living in the present. So think of these tools as a differentiator in addition to the value that they provide.
Thank you, George. Tatiana says no Android phone. So as Ken said, it's not on Android now. I did post a suggestion, and I was being serious. If you want to buy an Apple device at a discount, you could check eBay or other sites for refurbished warranty products. You could save a little bit of money, try learning an Apple, and then you'll have access to an Apple device. So that's an option for some.
Ken, to go back and again, with the limitation, as it were, that it's not an Android, have you looked at Twitter Spaces? And for those that are just looking to get acclimated to this medium, does that buy anybody, you know, some experience in the absence of having an Android app on Clubhouse? Because I haven't tried it yet for I haven't tried this Twitter Live thing yet from Twitter Spaces.
You know, the thing about it is I would say this. Clubhouse was first to doing this. So they're definitely more up with the technology. Twitter has something going to, so does Facebook, but they're not really as well known as the others are. So I would say that the best thing that you can do is just get familiar with one, because the technology is going to be the same across all channels. But the best thing about Clubhouse is that it's out now, and the more people that use it, the better. What they're looking to do now is everyone who's on Clubhouse now can actually form their own room or club. And the challenge there is to differentiate yourself. I would recommend when you're on Clubhouse, go to existing clubs that are there, get involved there, learn how to moderate. When you get started on Clubhouse, you only get 1 or 2 invites, and the more involved you get, the more invites you get. But above all, make sure the people first ahead of time have an iPhone or an iPad. What I was hoping today would do is give you just some sense of what it might be. It was a test that we were doing. When you're on a Clubhouse event, you're talking like I'm talking, and if someone else interrupts, they're going to interrupt too. But there are rooms there that they actually just have recruiters in, and they're actually looking for people. And if you do a search for them, because they're looking at this to save time and money. You know, why do they want to send out emails? Why do they want to do anything like that? But it's out of the box, you know. And there are some groups in there that there's venting. There are some groups there that are entertainment groups. It's, again, you can go crazy with the technology, but I recommend you try it out just to see what's there, because there will probably come a time, though I don't think it's happening yet, where you could actually see a Clubhouse, your Clubhouse @ maybe on your resume or something else. You just don't know. I mean, you always have to think ahead.
Yeah. And Ken, the one thing I would add, I'm turning mine on, right? I'm still working on a few things, but you know, if you look at some of the, and again, this is all subtle stuff about your presence, but how does your lighting look, right? So if you're going to go and engage with these recruiters, realize that this potentially leads to a video interview somewhere. It gets back to all the things we've talked about in past networking meetings about how well lit is your room, what does your presence look like. I was trying this morning to see if I had a tool that changed my background so it wasn't the green screen. But realize that, you know, again, as you're using these tools, they're a tool, and it really still gets back to what's the message, what's your persona look like. All those other pieces still matter, right? Now, I think you can do Clubhouse without the video, right, Ken? You can still do the chat. You don't just have to.
Yeah, I mean, you can. Right? Yeah, I mean, what I was hoping to do today a little bit was just give you some sense of what it might be, because it's really hard, and people actually just talk about it. The first thing you want to do when you get there is just kind of lurk around. You know, I lurked around for a week and a half before I really got involved. But the thing that I like about it best is that there is no expert per se. Everyone's opinion counts, and everyone's treated really well. So I'd like to continue if that's okay, David, or unless you want to.
Yeah, there are a couple of questions. Yeah, there are a couple of questions.
Okay.
One from Ingo. How much am I disadvantaged in my job search by not having an iPhone to use Clubhouse?
I'm going to say this, maybe not as much, because here's the thing. If you know someone who has an iPhone and they're on Clubhouse now, then just mention it to them. You know, there's a lot of, what I try to do a lot of with my content on Clubhouse is I try to, when I'm doing an event and I moderate a couple, I usually put the takeaways on there. I mean, Virginia Franco and I, we do an event every Thursday from 5:30 to 6:30 where we just look at resumes. And I do an event 11 o'clock on Thursdays where we just talk about automation. But what we do after those events is we put kind of like the takeaways there, so we don't have people missing out. And then we always say, are there questions that you want us to ask that we come back and respond to? That's the best way we can see using it, because otherwise it becomes like a shiny new toy. We want it to be more than a shiny new toy.
And Ken, one other thing that hit as you were talking, you know, the other thing to realize with these is these are not magic easy buttons. You're not going to download Clubhouse, walk into a room and find the job. All of these things are going to take some effort and some education to be comfortable with that platform so that you're engaging successfully. So don't lose sight of that. Again, this is a tool that has to align with all the other things that you need to do, right? So this just isn't some magic bullet that's gonna, success is gonna happen because you downloaded it.
The next thing I'm going to do at some point is, once everyone's on Clubhouse, and I've done this twice already, I've had a Clubhouse room and then an event, and I've done a Clubhouse after party for people who are on Clubhouse to keep talking. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that now, but I've done that twice, and we've just continued the conversation, and you bring other people in who are on Clubhouse that were not at this event, and it just expands the possibilities. I mean, we're all at the forefront of testing this out. I mean, it's whoever can figure out first how to use this in the best way, whether it's job search or something else, you're sitting on a gold mine. Now it's just a shiny toy. So like, we're all just kind of on the frontier.
Okay, there are a couple more questions. Valerie's asking, where is the wait list, and does it allow you to note that you have an Android?
There is a link, which if I don't have it here, I'll put it in the chat, where you can actually join Clubhouse and you can put yourself on a list. And then when you get it, or when someone, it'll ask you if you have an iPhone or not. And if you don't have an iPhone, you'll still be on the list. But then once you get it, and the way you get it is, you'll be able to download the app once you have an iPhone, and then we'll all get notified that you have then are available for Clubhouse. The first thing that most people do on Clubhouse is they go into a welcome room. Clubhouse has a welcome to Clubhouse room all the time for orientation for anyone. They're all the time, and anyone can ask any questions they want. Some of us have actually had welcoming rooms where we welcome a person in. It's hard to really quantify without going through all the steps, but the best thing I could say is, if everyone here is on Clubhouse, all of you are here, you connect together, you can all figure out a time to meet and chat. Now, the question about an old iPod, I don't know. I'm going to say probably not, but you can always search online for what version of iPod or pad you have to see if it works, because again, you have to have a certain interface with the system.
Okay, from Paul.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The right Clubhouse app,
folks,
the drop-in audio one.
What was that? I didn't understand the question.
The app for your iPhone. That's the Clubhouse drop-in app, drop-in audio.
It's the Clubhouse app, which has the person's name on it, the person's face. It says Club. That is the app, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure I'm downloading the right one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, what you'll find out first.
There's another question similar to that. And please just remind folks, please raise your hand digitally by typing the word question in chat so we don't step on each other as we're talking. Pauna is asking, the Clubhouse app in iPhone, is it Clubhouse membership app?
You know, I'm going to do this right now, if you guys don't mind. I'm actually going to go onto my iPhone.
It's a similar question. There's a few. Yeah. So
let me just go on here, and I'm going to search Clubhouse, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. So, because there's a lot of apps out there that are very similar. The one that you want to do is the one that says Clubhouse drop-in audio. It's not on the Android. There are one of the ways that you can tell it's not right on the Android is they have the wrong face, the wrong picture. They just changed the picture again. Steer clear. What we are hoping to do, because we don't know when this is going to roll out to Android, is make this as available as possible. I mean, that what I just showed you now is a test. We've actually had a couple of LinkedIn Lives where we've done this. The only downside we have found is it's about a 3 or 4 second delay, and we're figuring out the right streaming software to use. And George, that's a question you might be able to answer with me offline in fact join the group, because there's different streaming softwares that we've had some successes with versus others.
Yep.
Good. Let's just get through a couple more.
Sure.
This is from Dawn. Is the Clubhouse app the one that is project management for software?
No.
Okay. Or Clubhouse International?
Nope.
Okay, there you go. So, and the one you answered earlier. Karen has a question. My LinkedIn. Karen, I know this question. You and I talked yesterday. I'm not going to read it here. I think it's going to require a longer answer, and I think I will connect you and Kenneth a little bit later. So I'm sorry to defer, but I remember you and I talked about this yesterday, and it's not within the context of this program. So I'll connect you and Ken a little later. Then a lot of people are helping each other. How do we get invited to the Clubhouse app? Can someone send us invites? That's from Dawn.
Well, I have at the bottom on my last takeaway, I have my my contact information, which is my phone. So the way it works is this: the process is you have to be in the list of contacts. I have to, like, if David, if you want to be on Clubhouse, would have to add you as a connection, as a contact on my list with the phone number, so that I could then send you a text message to actually invite you, because it's all done that way. So just think about it from the perspective that you text with people all the time. This is just a text with an invite to Clubhouse. And I think they posted in the chat, different people had invites. We get, all of us that get invites, we get them replenished from time to time. Among the people on Clubhouse, Abby's on Clubhouse, I'm on Clubhouse, Lynn Williams is on Clubhouse, Jab Kelly's on Clubhouse, George is on Clubhouse, Sam's on Clubhouse, and Bryn Tillman's on. There's a lot of us on Clubhouse. I mean, and we are using that now because we find it's very beneficial just to have chats anytime. So.
Okay. Deborah's asking, can you save the Clubhouse chat as a file?
No.
Okay.
What chat? First of all, the chat you would save would be a LinkedIn chat. There is no Clubhouse. There is the only anything that's recorded. First of all, there is no chat to save. Think about it. We're talking now. The only way that you could hear this whole conversation is if this was recorded. When you talk on Clubhouse, unless it says recording at the top, there is no chat. That's why a lot of times you take things offline onto LinkedIn to have the conversation. And when you do this on LinkedIn Live as Clubhouse, there is a chat going on the side, which you can save. Clubhouse is just about voice, nothing more.
You know, Ken, it could be the chat that we're generating right now in this session. If that's the case, yes, I am saving, I'm recording the chat. I will save it. I will give it to Adrian. Also, anyone, anytime with the GoToMeeting app that's running, in your upper left-hand corner is the GoToMeeting icon. If you click on that, there's a drop-down menu, and you can save the chat to your own PC. So go to the icon in the upper left corner for GoToMeeting, drop down, there's a drop-down menu, click the save the chat file, and you can do that yourself. So if that's the context, that's how you can do that.
I mean, I love the fact that you guys are asking Clubhouse questions, because I really wanted to bring this up a little bit today, just to give you a sense of what it could be.
Okay, and Mike is asking, if you do a Clubhouse recording, can that be posted on interwebs?
Well, the Clubhouse recording would not be coming from Clubhouse by itself. It would have to be on some secondary app. I don't know specifically the answer, to be honest. It's a question that I can look into and get you back the information for, because then there's a lot that I don't know about Clubhouse. I'm not nearly as comfortable with that as I am with LinkedIn, but I'm very happy to look into the question for you.
All right, thanks, Ken. Let's move along.
Okay. So back to LinkedIn. Post longevity is important, much more important than the first hour. So you want to make sure your posts are relevant up to a week after you create them, minimizing tagging with the @ sign, and even the idea of using hashtags. we're putting together a list of all the top hashtags to use, which when I have that, I'll share that. But these are all changes due to pods and bots. If you tag 30 people and 30 people don't respond, LinkedIn may flag it as a bot or a pod, which is a place where people just ask to share and reshare content. So you want to tag only people you think are going to actually reply back. Because I've actually removed a tag because I don't want to be taken advantage of. Newsletters have started rolling out to other people. So Alex, someone like you, if you're interested, be a great mechanism for you to send out your information, or Marty. You actually have to sign up to be on the list, but then you would get a newsletter, and the recommendations come about based on your profiles to what you're all about. And that's going to be under your My Network there. So again, that's something which just came out recently to everyone. It's being rolled out. The dashboard here, I allude to this part here. This is underneath your About section, and it lists the search appearances. That's the most relevant thing of all. The downside of that, though, is that, what did you do? Still can't move it. So how about we do this?
If you want to email me your slides.
I'm going to email you the slides. What I want to do is I'm going to talk through the last parts of what I have, because I don't want to.
What I'm suggesting, if you email me the slides, I can share my screen and you could just say press next. Or if you want to just talk through it, that's fine.
Let's just talk through it.
Got it.
Let's just talk through it, because the important thing is this now. When you look at the search appearances, when you look at what you have there, you want to make sure that your profile changes every week. You change the settings. I think one of the challenges that most people have right now is the fact that they can't, they're not sure exactly how to update stuff. So what you want to make sure about is that when you're on LinkedIn and you're doing your presentations and you're doing everything there, you want to make sure that you're always connecting with people. Content is probably the hardest thing of all for people to do, and I'm actually going to just take off the presentation then. So can you just put that out to a full screen, because I'd rather see everyone, honestly. So what you want to do is this. You want to think about content that's relevant for you. And it isn't just going to be about sharing a slide or sharing what you've written. I would suggest you do something like create a poll. When you create a poll, and I'm just going to try this one more time. Let me know if you guys can see this. Can you see that?
Yes.
David? Okay. So when you create a poll, you have the ability to ask any question that you want. And it's a great way to get content. I just recently did a poll with another networking group, and what I did is I asked the question, how soon will you be ready to fly? A very simple question. Would you be comfortable traveling domestically by plane? I asked this question, I actually asked this yesterday, and I've gotten 7,000 views and 403 votes. So when you do something like that, you now have the ability to write a post. But the other thing which I love more than that is when you do a search now, you can also search for events. You can search for events that are of interest, search for events that you might want to attend. And you could also create an event the same way. Creating an event from your homepage. You can also mention the event, have a speaker as well. So this is how it would look. I actually did a screenshot. The online aspect would be linking to Zoom. This is another change. I just call this out as an FYI. LinkedIn's been around almost 20 years, and a lot of people on the platform, sadly, are no longer with us. And if someone's a connection and they're no longer around, LinkedIn gives you the ability to put something in remembrance. Now, you can't do it for someone you don't know. There has to be a whole form to fill out. But I've actually seen people do this because, again, it's another thing to think about. It's not a fun thing, but I think it's important to recognize some of the changes that do come out. And this is another fun thing. LinkedIn Help actually has a page now. This is what LinkedIn is attempting to do. They're attempting to, with their LinkedIn Help, give you the ability to actually tag them or send a message to them, and they are somewhat responsive to that. So what I wanted to follow up with is some of the things that I've been saying all along. LinkedIn is not a substitute for networking. You want to build a network. There's a lot of information about using it. There's differing opinions about it. These are just my thoughts. Dwell time, which I talked about before, isn't really used the same way as it used to be. It used to be the longer you're on a post, the more that you're going to get visibility. That's really not the case anymore. It's more about engaging on posts. So again, these are just some reminders. You got to have a picture. You got to have a good picture. You got to smile in the picture. I know that Alex would really want me to emphasize that. You got to have a background picture. LinkedIn, and it's all about a perception. So these are just some Clubhouse thoughts. There's lots of great conversations. Anyone can start a room. Your profile can be there, and you definitely want to personalize it more. What you'd say in your LinkedIn profile, you might not say on your Clubhouse. So I moderate 3 weekly rooms there. A job search one, I do an automation one on Thursdays, and I do one on Thursdays at 5:30 with Virginia Franco and Claire Davis. I have 6 invites. I listed some of the people I know who are on Clubhouse. I know a bunch of you are, but if you do a search for them, you'll find them. And we're all figuring this out together. I mean, that's why maybe the technology being a little bit off today is like good in a way, I don't know. So this is my handle for Clubhouse at Ken Lang. This is my email address and my connection. And that's it for me in terms of the presentation. So
if you could hit, leave that slide up just because it went by too fast. Good. So let me look for other questions. So remember, folks, if you have any questions.
I want to thank everyone for being supportive while I deal with my technical difficulties or challenges.
Yeah, supportive and patient. Thank you, everyone. And I don't know if you were seeing in the chat, some people were giving suggestions for getting through the technical issue, but we did. So thank you for that as well. And
I appreciate you guys. Yeah.
And it's just another example of why the Breakfast Club New Jersey and other groups are very safe places. So if you reach out and want to talk to someone, you make a mistake, no problem. If you practice your elevator pitch, no problem. Or if you fumble through your slides, no problem.
You want to have a plan B. You want to have a plan B also. Like when I figured it wasn't going to happen, I figured let me just kind of do it instead of just like, trying the same stuff again and again. But I do appreciate the flexibility for sure.
We want our money back, David. Do we get a refund for this?
This program was well worth the price of admission, George.
There you go.
So Deborah has a question. Can you explain the concept and use of tags?
Okay, well, there's different aspects to a tag. There's something called tagging a person, and there's something called a hashtag. Now, if you have an article that you want to share, and you want other people to know about the article, people that will respond, if you do an @ and start typing their name, whether it's a first connection or not, then they will get notified that they've been tagged. The way it seems to be now, you're much better off tagging, if you're going to do the tagging it within the comments. My best practice, I've changed a lot. I used to tag 6 to 7 people. Now I tag maybe 1 or 2. But the best thing about it is if you pick the right people to tag, you're going to get a lot of engagement. Like if you tag someone who you think should know about it, but they have no relationship with you, there's no benefit. You're almost better off tagging, even if you tag 2 or 3 people in this group, better to do that because then they'll get notified and then they may share the content. And on top of everything else, it's most important of all, even before the tagging, is why are you sharing the content? The tagging is a nice to have, and you definitely should do some of it, but it's really more about the engagement. And I think it's even better to start looking at other people's content and putting your thoughts there. There was an article that LinkedIn put out this past week that most of you know all about, and that's a challenge that 45 and older people are going through. and I just wrote some comments on it, and I got connections from that. And it was a very generic article. So if you look on the LinkedIn articles in the top right of your homepage, you may find a relevant article there. It's really more about engaging. It's not, I mean, commenting and is important, writing and tagging, but it's building a relationship. So can you? Oh yeah.
Bill has a question. Just installed Clubhouse on my iPad. Do I need an invite to join?
You need an invite because the way it's going to work is we still have to give you the information. Like Nancy can probably speak to this. If Nancy, if you're still on the call, you can talk about how you did it, because I think you're on through an iPad, right?
I am. Yeah, I don't have an iPhone, but I have an iPad, and I did use my phone number for my Android phone, but then I message things over to my iPad, and then I do it from iPad, and it works fine.
This question is, how do you join, I guess, get invited to a Clubhouse group?
Well, again, go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah. Well, I know I went in initially and I set up my ID, and then once, I had my ID on Clubhouse, someone invited me, and the invite got sent to my to my Android phone as a text. And then from there, I just sent the link that was sent via text. I just got that over to my iPad, and then I clicked on the link from my iPad and was able to join that way. If anyone, wants help doing it, just let me know. It was, and I tend to use Facebook Messenger to get things between my phone and my iPad.
There is a caveat that if you have an older iPad, you can't actually download the app because you need a certain level of software to download the app on the iPad.
Yeah, I know my iPad is not the newest. It's probably 3 or 4 years old, but yeah, that would make sense that it won't run on all of them.
You can go online. It'll tell you what versions of the iPad it's compatible with.
Okay, Pauna is asking, can you go over how to block possible bot LinkedIn messages?
Well, there's two aspects to it. First of all, if you get a bot connection request, when you select on the connection request there, instead of connecting, and what I'm going to do, you can select you can either report them from instead of connecting, there's an option that says report and block. You can delete them. What I have started to do is just delete them. Sometimes I want to kind of have fun with them and reply back. And a lot of people have actually tested this, and they've actually put like a symbol or a period or something in their name, because that's how they know when a bot comes back. They're just doing a cut and paste of exactly what they see in the LinkedIn profile. But the best thing to do is, if you think it's a bot, just delete it. I mean, and if you're not sure, because until LinkedIn gets a handle on the best way to do it, we have to kind of do it for ourselves. It's like anything else. It's like, if getting all this junk mail to the house. You get this junk mail to the house, you try to stop it and it just keeps coming. I wish there was an easy answer, but LinkedIn doesn't make anything easy.
Okay. Okay, and Pauna, your question is just an extension of that. I get a ton of LinkedIn messages from a few supposedly real recruiters, so that's the junk.
Well, but those first of all, those are probably in-mails, not connection requests. There's a difference. A connection request is one thing. I get a lot of those in-mails from recruiters too, and I can just say no, I'm not interested, and then I can report and block them. That's not the same thing as a connection request. A connection request is the examples I showed you. In-mails and recruiter ones, that's different, and that's kind of what I thought. I just, for the most part, just say, no, I'm not interested. I may report them, it depends.
Okay, and this is a follow-up to Deborah's earlier question, how to use a hashtag. Earlier you explained about tagging a person. You said there were two ways.
There's all different hashtags out there. So if you have a post that's relevant to a certain topic, let's say it's a post about job search, you can do hashtag job search. You can do hashtag for some content in the article. What a lot of people do is they have their own brands. I don't know if Alex has a hashtag landing expert or not, or something like that. I use Marty's Always Be Connected. I mean, I do hashtag Always Be Connected, Always Be Learning. And what that does is it's a way to be, you can be searched by within a hashtag. There's a hashtag for Clubhouse. So if you do a search for hashtag Always Connecting or a hashtag for LinkedIn, you're going to see any post that has that. It's just another vehicle for searching. Does that make sense?
Hey, Ken, is there any method on LinkedIn to find out sort of like the trending hashtags?
No, which is exactly why Andy Foote and a couple of others are putting together a living document about the trending hashtags, and it's going to be changing all the time because the top hashtags, LinkedIn does not make it easy. There are plugins that people are using to get that information. They're third-party tools, and technically they're not really allowed by LinkedIn to do that. But you have to have another mechanism. LinkedIn doesn't allow you to do this, and LinkedIn has a lot of proprietary stuff. But if you want to reach out to me after, I can put you in touch with the people that are actually doing this, and it'll help because the top hashtags are ones that you're never going to be able to get noticed on. You probably want to find a hashtag in like the lower tier, like on the bottom 100 or so, but you don't know. I would just say be consistent with the same hashtags, and do searches for others that on other posts that are hashtags that you might be interested in adding as well.
Ken, the thing I would add on hashtags is think of hashtags maybe in 3 different buckets. So to me, what would be trending is educational, or at least what's on top of mind. That's A. I would say B, hashtags are, let's call it about your brand. So if you're going to post frequently on LinkedIn and you wanted to go back and reference it, then that really becomes kind of bucket number 2. And then bucket number 3 is, and this kind of gets to some of the things that Alex talks about. These get back to your keywords that are really in your LinkedIn profile anyway, and you'd want to use those hashtags to have somebody find you. So it kind of gets to Ken's point. If you're trying to get found on a hashtag and you're using a trending hashtag, you're going to get caught up in the noise. So if you kind of think about tagging in those 3 buckets, it's going to give you a better sense as to what are you trying to accomplish.
See, I do hashtags broken out. I do a couple of generic ones, but I have a hashtag Introverts Unite, and I have a hashtag KML Consultants. And those are all searchable in some way. Now, one thing to think about from the standpoint of hashtags and @ signs, if your content isn't really that good or there is no reason for it to be there, don't overcomplicate. I mean, I think the best place to start is to just create a poll. Ask or get a Google alert to get articles in your field. Especially now, I mean, we all have Pie Day tomorrow. Can't wait to see all the posts with people that have pies, whether it's pizza pies or other pies. And I can't wait to see all the posts tomorrow about it's time change, I'm going to be dragging today, or it's pie or whatever. I'm not saying not to do those posts, but how is it relevant to you? There's a big, Andy Foote did a really great poll, and it's a perfect poll that you can do. Do you think we should end daylight savings time? Yes or no, and why? I mean, use the opportunity to ask a question, put yourself out there, and then use the results. You would either agree or don't agree, but if people put comments in a poll, connect with them. It can be very basic that way. I put a post up about what are you doing differently than you used to do in networking, with just some suggestions. I mean, anyone here can create a poll. They're all equal.
So we still have some questions in chat. And by the way, folks, we're going to keep this session open for open discussions in just a few minutes. We'll get to a couple of more questions, wrap up the meeting with some comments, and then we'll keep it open half hour, 40 minutes, as long as we go.
So David, Marty had something he wanted to bring up if he's still on the call. Something, Marty, did you want to talk about the thing we're doing?
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Listen, the group of us, Ken, Nancy, myself, Mark, and Pressy, what we have done, we've created a way to make job search less confusing and easier for job searchers. And we put this system together, which we will demonstrate for the users, for the job seekers, on Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. And if you are interested in attending, you could send me an email. My email, I'll put in the chat, martylatman@gmail.com. We invite people to come in, take a look at what we've done, and we look for your participation as we work to enhance what we've done. So that's what we want to talk about. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks. I mean, I'm happy, just David, anyone has any questions after the meeting, reach out to me, connect with me. I mean, I don't want this to be the end of the conversation by any means, and the same with all the people on the call, for sure.
So Pranav is asking, is it good to pay for LinkedIn membership of $29.99 a month, I guess, or any premium membership?
Well, here's the thing. You can get it for free. I'm not a big proponent. What? For 30 days. I'm honestly not a big proponent of it. I guess the question I'd ask back is, why would you want it? What would you do with it that you're not doing differently?
Right. Right. So understand what you're buying for the $30 a month, and if you'll use it, it may be worth your while. Valerie is asking, is there a way to only search for your connections for information or people? There are times when I know I've met someone with a certain skill, but I can't remember their name. When I do a general search, I get too much info returned.
Well, you can do a search if you're thinking about by keywords. You can do a search by keywords for sure, and then you can do a further search by location or by first connection within that. It's not just searching for people. The search at the top is for searching for anything and everything. I actually did a search for the word poll to get an idea of all the polls that were out there. You know, think about that as when you're searching on Google, you're searching for anything and everything, except that on this platform, you're just searching for things relevant to networking. So if you have a question about that, I'm happy to walk through the steps later on too, because I want to be respectful if other people have questions. But I mean, the short answer is yes.
Thank you. Mike is asking, is SSI, Social Selling Index, of use for individuals?
No. No.
Okay, so short answer, you are clearly being respectful of other people.
Well, no, I'm saying that because you really, no one knows how it works. No one knows if you have to have Sales Navigator to get a better score. No one understands what the parts mean. So what difference does it make if you're a 70 or an 80 or a 40? I mean,
right,
whatever it is.
So Ken, I want to thank you very much on behalf of Frank Kovacs and everyone who's in the leadership of the Breakfast Club of New Jersey. Thank you so much. You are a wealth of information in this topic area. This was so valuable. And it was clear by how well you engaged so many of the people who had lots of questions, all the attendees. So thanks again for joining us and participating and presenting at the Breakfast Club.
Well, thanks a lot for having me, guys. I really appreciate it, as well as your bearing with the technical challenges.
Yep, and just to let everyone know, next month we will be right back here. It'll be April 10th. That's the second Saturday of the month at 8 o'clock in the morning. Andy O'Hearn will be our presenter, and it's how to best communicate and connect in the post-COVID employment era. So I think that's going to be very relevant for us, since it seems we are beginning to see the end of the challenges of the pandemic. So Andy O'Hearn will be here April 10th, how to best communicate and connect in the post-COVID employment. So we look forward to seeing that. And remember, I will leave this online session open. We will stop the screen share. You can turn your mics on for that. We'll just have an open discussion until the open discussion ends. And just before I do that, Frank, do you have I'm not sure if Frank is still on, have a parting comment or two?
Yes, what I would suggest to everybody is, please keep safe. Even if you are lucky enough to get the vaccine, even for a couple weeks after that, they recommend that you still exercise extra caution. And then even once that 2-week period is done, they tell you to continue to wear masks, to social distance, to, wash your hands frequently. These are things, unfortunately, that are going to remain for a while, especially as the virus mutates. So, we're carefully watching, how many people get the vaccine and, do we stay in this mode? When, if ever, do we return to a in-person meeting? But, for right now, for each of you and your loved ones, please, remember to stay safe. The market, as I've seen it, has been opening up somewhat. People are comparing it to the 1920s with after the 1918 pandemic, how the economy had roared back. But it's very critical that you maintain your physical safety first and foremost. And as far as the market, we're all here to help you to the greatest extent we can. Take use of all those social media tools that I talked about, the Facebook group, LinkedIn group, posting to the Breakfast Club NJ at groups.io, making sure that you belong to all of them. Because again, the people here in the group are those that are going to, respond to you, to extend a helping hand, and really you should take full advantage of the group. That's why it was created and maintained all these years, is to help you to the greatest extent possible. And next month, I hope to hear of a lot of great landings.